For the next 100 minutes, you're my fiancé, quiet, modest, and absolutely free of questions. His voice was so even it sounded like he was ordering a black Americano at the lobby cafe. No hesitation, no smile. The words landed in the air like a silenced shot, no echo, but a clean punch to the chest. Claire Matthews, custodian at Harbor West Logistics, was in the 20th floor hallway strictly for work reasons. The service elevator was stuck on a maintenance level, so she had to drag her mop bucket by hand, trying not to slosh gray water on the maple flooring. Her fingers ached. Yesterday, she'd yanked the mop too hard and tweaked her shoulder. This hallway always smelled special. Ozone from the AC, fresh varnish, and the expensive colognes employees wore like corporate lanyards. Claire knew the scent the way a street musician knows the echo of subway tiles, a signature of a life she was never meant to enter. Tonight, everything tilted. Between the CFO's office and conference room, stood a tall man in a charcoal overcoat, hands in pockets, studying a seascape print like he owned the tide itself. When Claire drew near, he turned as though he'd been waiting only for her. For the next 100 minutes, you're my fiancé, quiet, modest, and absolutely free of questions, he said. The words slammed into her. She straightened automatically, hugging the plastic bucket to her stomach. Panic fizzed. He'll laugh, say it's a joke. He didn't. He looked at her the way appraisers look at gemstones, measuring clarity and flaw. Payment is triple your monthly salary, he continued. Flat as a ledger. All you need to do is sit beside me and keep your mouth shut. He pulled a slim ivory-colored box from his coat. On the lid, the tiny logo of Delacroix Couture. Inside lay a blush peach dress and a gossamer wrap that smelled like jasmine mixed with new bread. Evergreen Lodge. 8:30. 7 minutes to decide. He glanced at his watch. I'll be waiting by the elevators. He turned and left, abandoning Claire with her bucket and a box that rustled with a life as foreign as the Paris metro in a travel brochure. Flash of the past. As the second hand circled, Claire tried to jam 3 incompatible objects into one thought: a peach dress, a filthy bucket, and her own past. She'd once lectured on applied linguistics, proving to freshmen that words weren't the clothes of thought but its very flesh. She could detect 10 shades of sarcasm and explain why you must never place a comma before as if in a legal transcript. Then came downsizing, her mom's medical bills, a mortgage that collapsed like an old pier, and Claire joined the cleaning staff. Words stopped being flesh. They became dust she wiped from other people's desks. The box felt feather-light, yet her shoulders seemed pinned to the floor. 7 minutes, she reminded herself. If it was a prank, she'd lose only seconds. If not, maybe she could finally pay off the prosthetic for her mother. She shoved through the service shower door. Tile the color of sea glass, though the sea glass had long since faded. Claire parked the bucket under a faucet and peeled off her uniform jacket. The mirror showed a tired face with stubborn lips and a scatter of premature silver strands. She opened the box. Fabric slipped through her fingers, cool as dolphin skin. The dress was a tad loose at the waist but fell gracefully, emphasizing her collarbones. She removed a thin pendant, college graduation memento, and hung it on a hook. In a velvet pouch, she found beige heels and a rhinestone comb. She twisted her hair into a sleek bun. For a second, the mirror reflected not a janitor, but a junior faculty member prepping for a conference. Her heart squeezed. 6 minutes. She inhaled, chlorine mingled with perfume. She dried her palms, closed the door, and headed for the elevators. The man waited, scrolling through emails. His suit fit like yesterday's Melanie's tailoring. You made it, he said, barely glancing up. I'm David Whitman. To everyone else, you're Evelyn, my fiancée, a speech therapist on sabbatical. Speak only if I ask. Understood. Understood, Claire murmured, her voice softer than intended. Good. He hit the call button. And remember, don't hold eye contact longer than 3 seconds. You're shy. It sells the part. The doors slid shut. The cab dropped toward the parking garage. On David's wrist, Claire noticed thin scars, like a watch had once been cinched too tight. She almost asked, but rule 1 was silence. In the garage, the air smelled of rubber and ozone. A black Lexus idled near a pillar. The driver opened doors. Leather seats cooled Claire's skin. Seattle in March is a negotiation, between thaw and frost, between the yellow glow of pharmacies and the cobalt flash of tech campus billboards. The Lexus glided down Alaskan Way, neon tracing the tinted glass. Claire studied her reflection. The dress made her younger, the eyes older. David sifted through paperwork. Why me? She asked softly. Because you were closest to the elevator, he said. And your look fits. Fits what, exactly? Fits shutting up attractively. Conversation over. Outside, Pike Place Market flickered past, then the ferries of Elliott Bay. Claire recalled watching the Seagull at the Rep Theater, dreaming of moving to New York. Funny, now she just hoped to keep a room in West Seattle. Evergreen Lodge perched on the Kitsap shoreline, a white columned estate lit like a diamond ad. Claire's heels ticked on wet flagstones, echoing in her chest. A doorman in a red vest swung open the doors. Inside, mosaic floors, chandeliers, the scent of lilies and 12-year Cabernet. She glimpsed herself in a gilt mirror, dress flattering, eyes wary. David touched her elbow. Remember, sore throat. If they press, cough. He smiled with just one corner of his mouth. The players. The banquet hall held a single oval table. 8 men and 1 woman waited. David introduced her. This is Evelyn, my fiancée. She's a speech therapist but taking a break from clients. He said it so casually no one blinked. Daniel grinned. Speech therapy? Perfect. Artie still lisps on his S's. Laughter rippled. Levitt's smile was thin and knife-like. Claire dropped her gaze. Ceiling fans turned like quiet propellers. White linen gleamed. Wine glowed ruby. Claire sat half a step behind David, a shadow. She hardly ate. She listened. The talk centered on Pacific Crossdock Terminal, a proposed cargo hub linking 3 nations. Investment, $700 million. Ambition, immeasurable. Claire's brain, dormant but not dead, revved. She noted numeric inconsistencies, pregnant pauses when Levitt's tone softened too much. A waiter spilled Béarnaise. Mild chaos ensued. Levitt dabbed his contract with a napkin and casually handed the folder to Claire. You look calm, he purred. Mind reading this? We need a layperson's clarity check. Every eye swung toward her. David's brow ticked, but he said nothing. Claire's fingertips met paper. Tiny font, dense paragraphs. Page 3, Clause 4.3.2 on currency risk transferred liability if the dollar swung more than 5%, using a private bank's index listed only in a missing appendix. A trap. Sign it and Harbor West could bleed tens of millions. She lifted her eyes, locking on Levitt. His smile widened, the cat mid-canary. David caught it. He pressed her shoulder, handed over. She returned the folder. Gentlemen, I propose a brief recess, he said coolly. 5 minutes. Chairs scraped. Some stepped out for a smoke, others for email. Levitt poured cognac. David steered Claire into a side hall scented with lemon polish. What did you see? Clause 4.3.2, plus holes on pages 17 and 20. We lose compensation if the dollar moves 5%. Today it's at 4.8. Tomorrow's Friday, thin market. Sure. 100%. Also the bank index is unlicensed. David's eyes narrowed like a scope. Go back, stay silent. I'll handle the rest. Back at the table David became surgical. Let's revisit 4.3.2, he said, like asking to pass the salt. Levitt arched an eyebrow. Crystal clear. Crystal? Then why is Appendix B missing? And why is the reference bank unlicensed for FX and dollars? Silence. Rutledge coughed into his wine. Sophia Marks frowned. Also, David added, compensation disappears after a 5% swing. We're at 4.8 already. Tomorrow's thin liquidity, odds are we breach. Levitt flushed. A draft version. Edits were forthcoming. Then let's edit now. David's tone could cut glass. Or the deal's off. 30 minutes later the contract was redlined to sanity. Everyone looked wrung out yet relieved. Claire remained invisible, but David leaned and whispered, You just saved me $10 million. Something thawed in her chest that had been ice for years. David drove himself, music off, wipers swishing faintly. Where to? He asked. She gave the address of her rented room in White Center. That far. He mused. Do you grasp what you did tonight? I spotted an error. Not an error, a minefield. He studied her in the rear view. Who were you really? Former adjunct professor. Then layoffs, debt, custodial work. Nothing exotic. He nodded like checking a box. At her curb, he opened the door. Thank you, he said softly. And, sorry about the opening line. She half smiled. Seen worse. Then climbed the steps, sensing his eyes until the door shut. Next morning, she wore her navy smock again, but corridors felt altered. People who'd once looked through her now nodded. A receptionist even smiled. 2 weeks later, post-shift, security handed her a card. Suite 906, 6 p.m. Door ajar. David sat not at the CEO desk, but a side table, coffee untouched, slim folder ready. Need a hand? He asked without looking up. Some clauses are too foggy. Claire skimmed, Found the contractor pushing delay penalties onto Harbor West. She explained. David listened, silent. Thanks, he said. You just saved another migraine. Meetings like that became weekly, then twice. He never offered a title. Just, could you take a look? Rumors bled through cubicles like printer toner. The janitor in the exec suite? Lover? Hacker? Blackmailer? Claire heard whispers but ignored them. Respect walks on tiptoe. Once she crossed paths with Sophia Marks. Matthews, right? The economist asked. Claire nodded. You have perceptive eyes, Sophia said. People who see syntax usually see souls. She strode off, leaving a chill along Claire's spine. A month on, David called Claire to the main office. HR reps flanked him, a contract on the desk. How about a new role? He asked. Flexible hours, no meetings, pay equal the mid-level counsel. Claire eyed the folder. Then David. What if I'd rather help only you? No title, just trust. He chuckled. Works for me, so long as you're there when text lies. Her alarm now chimed at 7, not 5:30. Instead of a bus, she caught the link light rail, reading a chapter of Aristotle's Rhetoric on her phone. Coffee replaced bleach, a tablet replaced a mop. People made space in elevators. David's language shifted too. Commands turned to questions. Should we soften this intro? Is this too dry? He listened. Spring brought thunder. The FTC suspected Harbor West of collusion. A fine could kill the project. David summoned Claire at midnight. Only one lamp burned. Claire arrived with a thermos and Advil. If we can't prove transparency, we're dead, David said. She dug through a flash drive, found the culprit phrase exclusive rights, changed it to preferential rights, added a footnote. They filed a memo at 3 a.m. By 7, the FTC closed the case. David collapsed onto a sofa. How do you do that? I listen. Text whispers. Early summer, David called. Pack. We leave for a trade forum in Prague in 48 hours. I need you. I don't have a passport. You do now. She laughed while stuffing blouses, a skirt, her laptop. On the flight, she tasted $20 Merlot. In Prague, the scent of linden trees and tram bells welcomed them. Claire fine-tuned English slides. At night, they crossed Charles Bridge. I never realized words could anchor ships, David said. Words are ships, Claire replied. Just keep them from sinking. Final evening, a cafe on Malostransk Namesti. David slid an envelope across. Inside, 5% of Harbor West. Partner status. Claire blinked. I'm only an editor. You're the conscience. Without conscience, business drowns. She gave no answer, yet. Back home, her mother collapsed, urgent surgery, sky-high cost. Claire knocked on David's door. He authorized a year's bonus up front. No repayment, he said. The operation succeeded. Claire spent nights in the ward reading her mom Flannery O'Connor. Returning to work, David greeted her with tea. How's she? Alive, Claire smiled. Thanks. Winter delivered the biggest contract yet, a joint venture with a Pacific Rim Consortium, price tag, $1 billion. Claire burned midnight oil, snow swirling outside. At 3 a.m., she saw David asleep on a couch, hugging folders. She draped a blanket. He opened his eyes. Will you ever tire of saving me? I'm saving the text. It'll save you. February signing day. Flashbulbs. Reporters. David thanked our chief meeting officer, Claire Matthews. She didn't lower her gaze. April. David vanished for 48 hours, then summoned Claire to conference room C, the same place it began. On the table, an ivory box. Another dress? She teased. No. Your contract. 5% equity, partner for strategic communication. She opened it, her name in gold. Say yes, he whispered, and it's forever. She remembered bleach, rent overdue, the fear of asking when a shift ended. Forever, she agreed. That evening she strolled the Alki shoreline. Puget Sound glittered, gulls wheeled. In her hand, the partner contract. At Harbor West glass entry, a new custodian wrestled a supply cart. Claire lifted the latch. Thanks, the girl gasped. No problem, Claire said. Remember, doors open more often than you think. She stepped into the salt-tinged night. Roles were over. Every step now was a premiere. 2 years later, Claire's business card read partner, strategic communications. Her office overlooked the Sound. On the wall, a photo of Charles Bridge. On the shelf, a tarnished pendant. Sometimes she lectured interns on how syntax can torpedo or rescue a deal. David sat in front, taking notes like a diligent freshman. After one session, he asked, "Know when I realized who you were?" When? When you read clause 4.3.2 and didn't flinch at my anger. Claire laughed. I was terrified, but the text was more afraid. They watched barges glide toward the terminal they'd once defended. No words needed. The sea breeze whispered, "Every story continues, as long as someone hears the text's quiet voice." When do you think Claire understood she was done playing someone else's role? Drop your thoughts below and hit subscribe. More stories are on the way.